All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about the Sonos soundbar. This is the Arc by Sonos, and I'm going to take you guys through a couple of things that I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. I just bought this TV. I wanted to get a soundbar for underneath it, and I'm going to take you through a couple different mounting options, along with what to do for electrical and how to get all your connections down to it. There's no short of solutions for this, but here are the two that I kind of went back and forth with, and I'll show you guys the pros and cons of both of them. So the first one is the actual mount that you can buy directly from Sonos. I think this is around $75 or $80. This is nice because it's actually flush mount to the wall. So if you're trying to save space like I am where I'm at, you can flush mount this to the wall. Now, you're also going to want to make sure your TV is as close to flush mount as possible, because one of the things we'll talk about in a little bit here is the Sonos Arc actually has up-firing speakers for that Atmos setting. So if I have my TV and it's too far out and there's not enough clearance here, the top firing speakers are going to hit your TV. So if you're going to go flush mount, then you're going to want to make sure your TV is as flush mount as possible. The other option, again, I went back and forth with this, should I do this, should I not do this, is a bracket by Sanus. And I'll put a link to all this stuff in the description below so you guys can go out and purchase it if you're interested in it. But the thing with this is that it is a little bit too bulky for what I want to do. So it's the flushest that this could ever be is about 1.5 inches off the wall, where the Sonos mount is, God, I don't even know if it's 1/2 inch. So it's really flush, really tight up against the wall there. The cool thing about the Sanus mount is that it extends. So if you do have that situation where maybe your TV is on a swivel mount or something like that, or it's tilting a little bit and your TV is going to be pulled out a little bit, you may need to buy a mount like this. And then that way you can put the speaker bar attached to it, and when you're trying to listen to a movie that supports Dolby Atmos, pull it out, up-firing speakers will work really well for you, and when you're done you can kind of push it back and it's against the wall. The other really nice thing about this is when you need to go and cable it, you're not kind of cramped getting everything tied together and stuffing everything behind here. The cable management of this is probably a little bit better. You can actually pop it out, put the soundbar on there, and then do all your connections and everything from underneath. So we'll take you through how to install this one here in a second. But that's really all I'm going to say about the Sanus mount. It seems like a really good mount, really solid, really good, nice piece of hardware. It just wasn't really applicable for my situation. Next, we're going to talk about what to do for power and getting your low voltage cabling down, HDMI, Ethernet, whatever you need to run to your Sonos soundbar. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could drill a hole up top, you could drill a hole in the middle, fish the power cable up, and you can do it that way. The thing I'll tell you is you can't do that by code. You're not allowed to run power cables, anything like that, inside of walls. They have to be on the outside of walls. You could just have them, on the outside of the wall. Personally, I think that's kind of ugly, especially because the Sonos bar here has to be lowered a little bit for those up-firing speakers. So you're going to definitely see some of that cabling coming through here. So I went out and I tried to figure out what the best way of doing this was. And there's a couple companies out there that make these things, and it's literally Romex wire. This is 14-2 wire, the same stuff that your house is really wired with. And you can fish this through the wall. This is totally compliant. And then this gets mounted directly behind your Sonos unit here. So this one here is from a company called Powerbridge. I got this off of Amazon. I'll put links in the description below if you guys want to check these things out. I thought 100% I was going to go with this one until I got it and realized that, man, this thing is massive, and I have an issue that I have a stud going right through the middle of my wall right here. And where that causes the problem is that I cannot put this directly in the middle where that opening is and get 6 screws, 3 on each side, like Sonos recommends. So what I have to do is I have to actually go on the right side of this. So my low voltage cutout is actually upside down to begin with. I'd have to come over on this side over here, and I'd have to be this far over on the stud, and it totally blocks all the screw holes on the right side of my mount. So I was a little disappointed when I got this. I liked that it had the big opening and everything in there, It was going to make my cable management a heck of a lot easier, trying to hide all my wires, just push them right into this big pocket here. But I couldn't do it, so unfortunately this is going to have to go back. The company that I then came across was Legrand, and they sell this whole kit to do exactly this. And it's pretty cool because if you're kind of a new homeowner, let's say, and you might not have all the tools to actually cut the drywall and everything, they should give you a drywall saw. They give you a hole saw for what we're going to go over in a little bit on how to install this thing. But they give you all the tools. You buy the kit and you're good to go. The cool thing about their kit is it's a lot smaller. So I've got this right here, and you guys can see just how tiny it is. It's actually a lot thinner and it's a lot shorter. Not going to be as fun for cable management. You know, I'm not going to really be able to wad up any of the cabling behind here for the power cord, but the Sonos Arc does have a little bit of a pocket behind it. So for the power cord, I'm just going to kind of bunch it together. I'll probably get some twist ties and then be able to place it right behind there. So that's what I'm going to use. And the way that this system works, and we'll show the installation here in a second, is again, it's got the Romex cabling right here. So this is going to get mounted here. And then it's got two wires that come off of it. And what you're going to want to do is, and totally dependent on how your system is set up, but one of these wires gets mounted up here and one of these wires gets mounted down here. Now the cool thing about this is that if you didn't have electrical up for your TV, this could also provide electrical for your TV. And let's say you only have one outlet down here, what you do is you run this part lower, there's a cutout, and again, they give you the hole saw for these cutouts. You pop this side into here, and then you run an extension cable that, again, they give you that goes from this directly to your outlet. That provides power to here. And then you got your third string that goes up here and provides power to the back of the TV. I don't need to do that because, again, I have everything wired up here for the television, but I've exhausted all my plugs because now I've got one plug for the TV and I have one plug for my soundbar. So what I'm going to do is kind of reverse it. I'm going to take that bottom plug and put it up here. So that's going to actually give me 3 plugs now in the back, just in case I want to put an Apple TV or put something else behind this unit here. I can, and I'll have that extra outlet that's available to me up here. If that's a little bit confusing, it'll make a lot more sense when we go over the actual installation, but just wanted to show you guys what your options were for electrical. So with that, let's jump in and we'll show you guys how to actually install the flush soundbar mount by Sonos. All right, so inside of the box for the Sonos mount, they give you a little cardboard cutout here, which is a guide on how to get this thing actually installed. So what they recommend is from the bottom of the TV to the top of the mount here, you should have about 5.5 inches of clearance. And they give you this little guide, which is actually really cool. It's got this little cutout in the back here, and that clips to this thin portion right here. And this was actually really cool, kind of a nice little surprise when I did it. There's a little cutout in the front here that you know it's in the center when the word Sonos is in the center here. So there's Sonos, might be hard to see, written on the mount, and you know you're in the center when that Sonos is right there. So then what you do is, and you might need someone to help you do this, you kind of line this up. There's a little notch in the cardboard at the top here. You find center, and as long as this is under the TV, you're 5.5 inches. So go right from the bottom of the TV right to the top of this piece of cardboard, and you're 5.5 inches from here to the bottom of the TV. And it's as simple as that. Go ahead, mark your screw holes. What I ended up doing is marking one, because I wanted to make sure this thing was perfectly level. So I ended up marking one screw hole here, because that's where I knew the height was correct. Took this off, got a level on this side over here, and then I marked my other screw holes right there, and then I ended up drilling those. They give you wall anchors inside this kit. You pop those in, and then you put the screws on top, and you're done with this. Now I have to take this down because we're going to do the electrical as well, but I needed to make sure I knew exactly where that electrical and low voltage needed to go, and this is where we're going to shoot for, is right here. So let's go ahead, mark for the electrical, and start cutting that out with the provided saw. All right, so what I ended up doing, just before I took this mount down, I marked the absolute bottom of this mount when it was there, because that's exactly where I want the bottom of my box to be. Took that down, and then Legrand gives you a little cutout, and I put that cutout right above that mark just a little bit, and I knew exactly where my stud was. My stud was right in the center. That's the center of my stud there. I came off just a little bit, just so I had a little bit of drywall to kind of put the wing up a little bit there to kind of hold it into the wall. And then I traced this. I had a level too, just to make sure that I was level there. Traced around it, and now we're going to cut it out. All right, so I went ahead and after I traced it out, I went and cut it. I started by using the saw that they provide you in this kit from Legrand, and man, this thing started making a mess. If you have your own drywall saw, probably go ahead and use it. I ended up cutting a very small section with this, went in my garage, grabbed my DeWalt. I've had this thing for years. It's all rusted, but it works great, and it cleaned everything up really nice. So if you don't have anything, I'm sure you can make do with this. There is a little bit of a trim that goes around it, so if you do make a little bit of a jagged mess with your drywall, it should still be okay. But go out and buy a drywall saw, because you can always use it for other things too. So that's done here now. I need to take my TV down and go ahead and cut out those circles and everything, and we'll show you guys how to do that, but let me grab this thing down first. All right, so I went ahead, took the TV off the wall here, and what we need to do is we need to get the cabling from down here up to right here. So in this kit, they give you hole saws, and the cables are going to go into these little junction boxes right here, and I'm going to place them right next to them, and then they give you a little jumper cable. This jumper cable goes from there right to there, and that's going to provide power down below, and then we're also going to have another outlet over here. Again, like I was saying before, I'll use this for like an Apple TV, or who knows what else comes along. I'll hide it right behind the TV over here on the right side. Hopefully it's thin enough, and I can use this and plug it right into it. So I'm going to go ahead, drill those out, and then we'll talk about running the cable. Okay, so we got everything cut out, no big deal. The hole saw that they give you as part of this kit worked totally fine, really easy, did a really nice job. Went ahead and started running these wires up the wall. Again, this is where our power is going to be going into. That's going to be fed from this extension cable right here. It's going to be plugging into there, and then plugging into there, providing power down here, and then giving me this extra outlet over here, because again, I'll have the sound bar plugged in down here, and then I'll have the TV plugged in up top, so it's nice that I get that third outlet there. Pop these in right here. I've got my low voltage. Right now I'm running a Cat 6 cable down below here that's going to be live for the Sonos bar, and then I've got the HDMI that came in the Sonos kit that's also being run down here. That's all going to get tucked into this box here and shoved back into the wall, and that's it. And then this HDMI cable is going to go into the Arc port on the TV that I have. So let me get to work here, pushing this stuff all in, tightening it up, and then I'll give you guys a final shot of what this actually looks like. All right, just wanted to show you guys this real quick, because not that it was confusing, but you probably should know about this. So I got this one installed right there, and a couple things on these little circular trim kits here, or gang boxes, whatever you want to call them. You need to take the two screws out the back, then these kind of slide in from the back side like that. Then this goes back on with the two screws. This little trim kit that's on it is going to be attached to it out of the box. Once you get this thing in there and maneuvered, and I actually took these off before I put them in the wall, you're going to have to kind of pick at them and pop them off. They don't twist, they don't do anything like that. It's just one of those simple clips, and you just got to, I don't think you'll break it, but give it a little force and you should be okay to pop it off. Get everything in there, tighten your 3 screws down. That's going to shoot the wings out to make sure it's secure to the drywall, and then go ahead and just pop that trim plate back on, and you're all set. So I'm gonna do that for these, push everything into the wall in the bottom here, and we should be all set. All right, guys, and there you have it. So I've got my 2 power outlets mounted right here, and then the third one down below. Again, just to go over how this thing works, we're gonna plug this little extension cord in from here. This is my power. This is gonna go into here. That's gonna provide power to this outlet and to this outlet down here where my sound bar is. And then I also have my HDMI cable that's gonna be plugged into the back of the TV going into here. And then I've got my Cat 6 that's coming in. It's gonna be going down here as well. So last kind of thing here to show you guys is just putting this bracket, you know, a little bit over here so you can see what that actually looks like when we're done here. And you can see, got enough room to get the power cable in there and hopefully hide all my wires. Okay, so I went to go mount this, put all my screws back in and everything, and I thought I was gonna run into this issue, and I'm glad I thought ahead. I went to Home Depot and I bought some 1/4-inch nylon spacers. And the reason I needed these nylon spacers is because this outlet is pushed so far over to the right because I've got this stud here, and this is gonna be important because anybody that's dealing with this issue, be prepared. You may have to gap this out a little bit. I bought some washers too, just in case I had to go a little bit further out. But luckily, these 1/4-inch nylon spacers did the trick for me. So I just put those along the back here, and that gave me just enough clearance to sneak the power cable in. This is nice and flush, nice and tight. You know, it's still a heck of a lot slimmer than the Sanus mount that we talked about before. So, guys, if you have any questions, post below in the video. You know, it's my first time installing one of these things. The whole system really wasn't that bad. If I had to do this again, I could probably knock this entire thing out in about 30 minutes, I would say. But again, if you have any questions, post below. And as always, thanks for watching.